Hey everybody, Dave Lindbergh in Hong Kong with another episode of the THD Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Today we have Perry Teevens joining us from California, and he's with a company called Native Voice. They do some interesting things related to adding voice and different methods and all kinds of what I like to call traffic cop control of joining cloud functionality with voice speakers and doing it some different fashion from what the usual suspects are doing. So we're going to find out about that and how that works. Without going too far, let's not forget about our sponsor, the Audio and Loudspeaker Technology International, the ALTI Association. So Barry Vogel, unfortunately, apparently he's postponed his event for October. So everybody, don't go to Florida in October. Please hold off on that. But please, we encourage people to take a look at the ALTI website. We'll put a link up here and go get involved and network with all the other audio technology manufacturers and component makers and all that kind of good stuff. So without delay, Simon's in Japan as always. How are you doing over there, Simon?
Doing just fine, Dave. Morning and afternoon.
The Olympics have left you alone now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. And Perry joining us from California. Where are you in California, Perry?
A town called Danville. It's east of San Francisco, kind of a bedroom community.
Okay. So Perry, the Chief Revenue Officer at Native Voice. I guess at a high level, can you tell us where Native Voice started and what kind of the mission is as a company?
Certainly, and thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that very much, David. The company started a little more than a year ago. John Gosha and his co-founder, Amin, started this company with the premise that there's a void in the market in voice assistance and voice services that isn't quite fulfilled or being met, that matches up the device side of the use case. You know, people with devices that use wake words to access voice assistance, and the NLUs being used and developed by brands in the market. And a lot of brands are putting energy and investment into their voice assistants in reaching consumers. So the role we play is we're building a platform that you mentioned earlier, Traffic Cop. It's actually more of a curated platform that takes this SDK that we're developing or integrating components of that SDK with partners who have devices or building devices that have a library within the stack of multi-wake words. And we can activate those multi-wake words and send those calls directly to the brand NLU. So why is that different than just working with Google or Amazon? Most of the brands we talk to, and these are all very, very large companies that stream media or do some kind of transactional use case with their end user. They often don't want to be disintermediated with their customer, and that could be in terms of the amount of data they receive on the user, because you want to build a history with your user and be able to serve up data, content, whatever their interest is, more curated to what their needs are. So the more information you have, the better you'd be able to serve that up and be able to create a much better customer experience.
So sorry to interrupt, but would that be for an example? Would this be something like I can't remember the name of the data points with the Google Android system, but there's literally like hundreds and hundreds of different data points that they collect from a mobile. Would this be an example where like a Starbucks app would get to know if people use that app, they're getting access now to the data through this service, so they can know that Simon drives by Starbucks every day at 8 a.m. and he only goes there on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so they could perhaps send him a promotion, a push notification or something like this on a Friday. Those
are all data points, right? Metrics that can be analyzed and applied to this model. But what we're essentially doing is serving up a custom wake word, right, to that brand, so that when somebody does make the call and we connect the API, the profile then is known. You know who your caller is. And instead of going through all the menu items, Starbucks is a good example. Starbucks would know that there's a certain type of coffee you get, certain type of meal, certain type of day, and perhaps even the location. So it makes the experience all that much better. And this is part of curating that experience and making it a faster connection between the brand and the end user. They don't have to go through a menu tree, right? That would you would otherwise have to go through going through Amazon or Google or one of the large established VAs. All these companies want to have that direct connection with their consumer.
So it's kind of a direct data connection to wherever you're looking for the services from, and it's not getting stripped away by one of, or is it stripped away? Is that a fair comment?
No, it's not stripped away. Essentially, the data elements are contextual to the core service, which is a connected voice API, right? So we're making that API connection to the NLU and assisting the brand with curating the connection with that end user. And one of the benefits, this is, there's a lot of players in this space. There are a lot of algorithms written to do natural voice recognition. And there are a number of platform providers, full stack and NLU specific. We're working with all these players. We have no intention of reinventing, voice algorithms that are already refined. We're really concentrating on the libraries on the devices to work efficiently with those SOCs or DSPs, and working with the solutions providers that are also servicing those customers with streamed content, and matching them up with multiple NLUs. So today, there are multiple verticals that are popular with always-on microphone technologies, like in the home. Smart speakers that are Wi-Fi connected. And we see this rapid transition to Bluetooth connected devices in the mobile environment. And the people using that, their persona and use cases will start to change over time. You're not going to do banking sitting on the bus with an open microphone, right? You might do that at home through your smart connected device in private. So there are a number of use cases that can be curated for what would look like the long tail of these different markets, and then they will be used more persistently on a daily basis or a weekly basis.
So does Native Voice also, like in the home application, does it help cater to the concept of privacy? Because there's concerns if you're going, hey, Alexa, open up my Citibank account. Now, people have obvious concerns about that. So if you were to put your platform in there, would people go, hey, Citibank, I need to pay my mortgage or something? Is that a security feature that you guys can offer?
Yeah, it is, because we will use the security features that are inherent in the NLUs and requirements that are being used by Citibank. All we're doing is activating the device wake word and then using whatever the inherent protocols are to connect the API.
Okay, interesting. Maybe just to visualize this, I think that you've got a slide or two that can kind of map out where you guys fit in the puzzle. Maybe that might help people.
Sure. Yeah, let me walk you through that.
All this new voice stuff is a little sketchy for us audio guys.
Sure. Okay. So can you see my slide?
Yes, okay. Perfect.
Okay. At a very high level, this is what we do, right? We're solving the coordination problem between device manufacturers. These are OEMs that build popular devices that have microphones installed on them, and they're considered smart devices. The primary focus in this area, or while automotive and certain verticals are quite large, in the consumer area, we're looking at smart speakers that are installed in the home. and these are Wi-Fi connected devices, and we're trending towards TWS devices. These are like in-ear earbuds, for example, very popular in a very high growth area that are microphone enabled, and transitioning from push to talk to always on, depending on technology. And I'll explain what that means in a moment. But we're also working with AR, VR, and wearable manufacturers.
Okay.
The same group or cluster of SoCs are being used across all of these categories for mobile connected devices. So we're offering up multi-wake word capabilities on these devices through our SDK, and working with solutions partners and the SoCs to make it available to OEMs that want to install this and make this available to their customers. Today, traditionally, you would build or a number of years ago up to today, you would build a smart speaker, and you had maybe 2 or 3 choices. You would build it for Amazon or Google Voice or Bixby, or a very short list of popular VAs. And now there are more very savvy brands like Spotify that have done a great job of integrating their wake word, and they're continuing to do that on devices. But there are also challenges in doing this, right? Because you're not driving people away from their habit of using Google or using Amazon. You have to be able to support and certify those VAs as well. So that's part of the service platform that we're creating. We're assisting in the certification process of existing VAs and working through the integration and certification of brand NLUs or VAs that are customized. So it's
hey Perry, I'm still curious because I still don't quite get it. What does so if you say hey Alexa or hey Siri, whatever it may be, that triggers the device to start listening to the subsequent bit of sound and pass that out into whatever instruction it can be. What happens when you say hey Spotify?
That call will go to Spotify. It'll go to Spotify NLU, or it really depends on how that was configured for Spotify. Spotify have relationships where they the call might go to Amazon to get transitioned. But in most cases, if you were to pick another NLU, maybe NPR or CNN, or just pick your brand, we would recognize that call, and we would send that call through a Bluetooth audio connection to the API or to the NLU to receive that for processing their voice messages. So that's a direct connection directly from the device to the NLU. You're bypassing Google or Amazon.
I see. So when you say the call, you mean an API call to a server somewhere?
That's correct, and that's where you talk to a machine, or the NLU, the natural language unit.
Okay.
Which would be serving up the the content that you're requesting, and in each instance, this is going to be different depending on the kind of content and how narrow the vocabularies are that are going to be in use. An example of that would be like a QSR application with Uber. You go into a specific request or ordering sequence, and that NLU will behave differently than requesting a music on a Spotify account.
So do you mind if we dig into this a little bit deeper, because I really don't understand that part of it, so I'm just curious. So when you make a wake word call, let's say you say hey Uber on your device, your TWS earphones or your on your true wireless stereo earphones, that wake word goes to the phone.
That's correct. It goes to the phone.
And let's say it's an Android OS.
Yeah.
How does that become an API call to Spotify or whatever?
Our software is running on a companion app, and we open up a channel to the internet, and it makes.
Okay, so you have the iOS Android side as well, and
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you're doing a smart speaker that's Wi-Fi connected, you have the firmware for that.
That's correct. In fact, we're approaching Wi-Fi a little bit differently to get to market quicker. We're working with partners who are already embedded in that area. So the answer is yes. It's
okay. Now I get it. So as you said before, perhaps Spotify actually do use Google's services, but that's not the point. The point is that you can just sidestep all of their voice assistant channel.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
And really, the concept here is you're giving end users choices on how they want to interact with their brands.
And would it be the case that, I'll just keep using this Spotify example, if you don't mind, is when you install Spotify on your phone, are you installing some service at the same time that will receive this call from the True Wireless Stereo earbuds?
We have an SDK that connects with the firmware on the earbuds,
yep.
So that call can be established with the companion app, and we can send it through the right channel.
Okay, using Bluetooth. Yeah, and so the app has to be open, or is this some sort of background?
No. In fact, no. That's the whole point of this. The app doesn't have to be open. You can activate using voice wake word.
Okay, and then each customer of yours, Uber, Spotify, whatever it may be, when you install their app, you install the service at the same time.
That's correct. It's actually their app independent. We can reside on a companion app for the device and make that call. As long as the wake word is recognizing the brand, we'll send the call to the correct location.
Good, got it now. Very clear.
Okay.
And so Google and Apple maybe not that thrilled about this.
No, they're if you initiate their services, we send the call there. There's no trapping or blocking or any of that.
Yeah, sure.
And it's there's a very, very long tail of potential services here. A lot of niche markets that potentially could evolve out of this.
Okay, so write down a very simple one. Let's say a customer who doesn't have any back end to go with, doesn't have any agreements. They could just use their wake word to load the app, to pull the app up, for example.
Potentially, yeah. If they wanted to do that, they can do that. It would have to be engineered with a solution provider. Again, the app is really a method for us to steer calls to the appropriate API.
Okay. Fantastic.
All right.
Okay, so the whole idea here is that we're a platform that bridges devices, the users of devices, to brands using brand wake words.
Mm-hmm.
What else makes sense here? Of course, we're tracking to the high growth markets. We see smart speaker growth has been through the roof, and we're starting to see TWS and smart glasses and wearables coming up very, very fast. We're doing a lot of reference designs in those areas as well. These devices all have microphones built in, and they work best if you could use hands-free interactions through these devices.
Yeah, I've talked about this before. The clumsy implementation of taps on a TWS device. They get the instructions from the factory, and it's like triple tap left to get your Google voice assistant on, and then the earbuds on the floor. It falls out of my ears.
Yeah, so there's a trend in the market, right? There are companies like that you know very well, like Sentient, that are trying to solve the problem of always on and power consumption to make these things much more efficient. There are a number of companies, not just Sentient. The SOCs are doing work on their own in this area, so that you're not draining the battery life of the device. People have an expectation that when they wear a wearable, they get a full day, maybe anything like 15 or 20 some odd hours out of it. And when you invoke always-on mic technologies, there is a substantial drain that can happen. So, these neural processing ICs like Sentient are designed to offset that draw on power and house the critical instructions for the device itself and potentially multiple wake words.
Right.
So this illustration is showing mostly where we're putting most of our effort. I'll show you another slide here. This is the market potential that we're looking at, starting with mobile connected devices and smart speakers. These are very large markets. Some of them are penetrating rather fast. I guess you might say they're maturing a little bit, but there's regentrification and better product replacing the older products that were shipping a few years ago. Automotive is also very exciting for what we do. But being a small startup, we're not trying to boil the ocean in all these segments. We are deliberately working with partners who want to use our technology that already have a presence in some of these markets. And in many cases, the brand itself is building their own VA interface. We're working with one of the largest TV manufacturers who also own a line of speaker products and OEM speaker products that want to build their own VA, both for control of the system and access to content. So we're working with them as it relates to their own voice assistant capabilities and being of value to independent brands that also want to be used by their customers, because the customers ultimately will program which VAs they want to use into the app.
Okay.
Let's see. That's pretty much what I wanted to show you on this. We have some call flow diagrams that may answer some of the questions that you had a moment ago, Simon. As you know, there are hybrid solutions to managing the processing around microphones. So in some cases, the call can go out to a server on the edge of the network to handle some of that. If biometrics, for example, in a security application were involved, you would want to use that type of method, verify the call, and then send the call out through the API and the connection that we're offering here. But all of this is pretty standard. We partner with Sensory, for example, on a wake word, and they do some customization as necessary. And like I said, we don't want to get into the bowels of reinventing some of these critical components. We're happy to partner and license with our partners, because it's important to us to have the enabling technologies on the device so that we can manage the connection with the brands.
And what hardware is needed, or what hardware does the SDKs use?
It's just OS dependent. So it's whatever DSP or SoC is being used. The companion app would be Android or iOS.
Sure.
And the hardware is typically for these mobile devices is going to be a ROHA, QCC, SoCs, or BES, for example. And we're working with these companies both directly and indirectly with their solutions providers. Invariably, what does happen is we'll work with a partner, and to scale the business, you need solutions partners, because there might be some firmware integration, the last what we call the last mile of integration that they might need some assistance on for customization.
And what happens when a customer likes the concept, but they don't have any back end to go with it? How is that filled in?
You mean NLU backend?
Yes.
Yeah, we work with the NLU providers, like Houndify is a good example. They're the ones that have the architecture and the backend, and they're generally working either directly or indirectly with the brands that are investing in this. Very few brands I've seen are trying to organically build this unless they've been around voice a very long time, like NPR.
Sure.
So there's a short list of full stack or specialized NLU companies that we work with.
All right.
And what sort of typical capabilities do customers using?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What are the typical capabilities they're using? So, okay, we just took the example of Uber. It's kind of obvious, get me a car kind of thing. What's the field of functionality that people look at?
Well, there's been quite a bit of research around this. There are what we call them internally verticals that are high use cases. For all of this to make sense, you have to have people using the application. It has to make sense to the end user, and it has to be a delightful experience. So we're trying to cut out steps in that experience, help curate a faster, better, more delightful experience for the end user. And to do that, you're serving up content that they're already perhaps getting through an app or through some different means. So music is obviously one of the larger categories that's used at what we call on a daily active user basis, or DAU. After that, you get into news categories. You get into perhaps more mundane things that are quite active, like weather. Calling the Weather Channel and getting your weather updates. I care less about that out here in California, but I used to live back east. I would check it every day. So, that's what I meant by long tail of use cases. So there are practical everyday use cases around voice technologies. Brands need help curating that experience for their users, depending on the type of content that those users are asking for. If it was news, it could be the top 10 news stories from CNN, or it could be more categorical, it could be finance related. So as I use the NLU or the service from a particular source, those services will be curated for me over time, and it will become a much better experience every time I use it. And it gets the brand closer to the active or end user.
Very interesting. Right. And one more thing in terms of, we've talked previously about this for a product, and the concept there was actually to execute local commands rather than get some remote service. Is there a use case for that?
There is, but companies like Sentient, I think, are usually managing that. And I think the use case, I think I know the use case you're referring to. There's probably a good security reason for not having those devices connected, but in the environments that we're serving, the vast majority are connected. So there is a control aspect, a control feature aspect of this, but our tools haven't been written specifically for that, unless the NLU or the service provider wants to invoke some control aspect into the wake word. The wake word connects to the NLU, and then you're prompting content or some kind of service execution, right, with the machine to do something, and those are in connected environments.
It took me a while to get the picture of what this is. Do you find that with customers, or most of your customers? It took me a while to understand what the picture of this was. Do you find that with other customers, or do customers already well aware of this exact?
Or we just thick.
No, good question, actually. There's two areas of our business. One is the brand side, and our CEO and our advisors are very well connected with CMOs and all the largest companies worldwide. Our initial market of focus, of course, is the U.S. market, and we are having a really good series of meetings about what those requirements are and what CMOs are looking for from a VA standpoint. What they want to know is there a critical mass to connect to? So the hardware side of the business, the device side, are always looking for added features. And we started with the tier 3s and the tier 4s and TWS who want the differentiated features and capabilities. And we are shipping with them. We're also shipping going into late fall and early next year, some wearable devices that in some cases will have always on microphones. We'll have very interesting dynamic like glasses are going to be used differently than some wearable devices. But everybody understands the concept of a VA. They're intrigued with this service that can also assist them with certification of existing VAs, getting certified from by AVS and by Google Voice. So we manage that as well. So the best way to look at this is we're not changing anything. We're additive to what's already out there, and we're increasing the value to their end users, their consumers. So time will tell which of these verticals that I was talking about will really take off and tune the product or the streaming services that these customers want to consume. But over time, we plan to assist in doing that.
So is also in terms of standards, it's kind of like an Amazon test standard or a Google Voice test standard to get that certification. Will these companies, like if it's Hey Uber or Hey Domino's, are they going to, do you feel they're going to fall into these other company standards and they might become something like an ISO for voice, or how do you see that playing out?
That's a really interesting concept, like the Twilio of voice APIs that could play out over time. We're really our process here is to become Switzerland for all brands. And you've heard this term before. It's hard to do because when you do apply standards or policies, right, for different companies, each one has to be managed differently. So it becomes a service at that point, and one that's valuable to the brand and helpful to all these disparate NLUs and full stack providers to those brands. The other whole side of this equation is making sure that the SDK is consumable. It works. We're developing. We're launching our developer portal this month. And most of what we've done, or we've been doing on individual basis, working with solutions providers and specific OEMs. But to scale the business, you have to have a do-it-yourself model through an SDK, and all of that is being nailed down. So that the SDK can be consumed and can take advantage of these NLUs.
All right.
And how is it? So once a device is enabled with native voice capability, how is it that a brand gets their wake word into the device?
Okay, that's a great question. So today there are a limited number of amount of real estate on a device, right? We're waiting for the sentience of the world and the capacity of some of these micro or smaller devices to be able to handle that. So there are a number of approaches that we're looking at taking to being able to expand that area. Today we think much like your phone, right? I probably have 60, maybe 100 apps on my phone. I only use 5 of them, right, on a daily basis or a regular basis. The others are very infrequent. We feel that voice assistants will be very much the same way, and will be over time. And as the technology develops, you'll be able to increase the capacity. So customers will be able to choose and download what wake word they want. They'll be able to activate it on the companion app, and bang, it'll work.
That's very cool. All right. And so currently, where are the offices located for Native Voice? What's your coverage globally?
Yeah, we have a team in Shenzhen, and under the circumstances, it's very fortunate. We have a dedicated QA team, and we have a dedicated business development team. We have research and development primarily in the U.S., located in Toronto and in Boston area, where the founder's from. And we have a number of resources, and our founders actually living now in Denver. So like most startups, like the 2 startups I last ran, you have a core team, and you outsource some of the elements that you don't need dedicated resources for. So we can scale and be agile and move very, very quickly. And this is one of the reasons you don't have to you don't have to reinvent or build some of these technologies. We incorporate them and work out a partnership with companies who are best in breed in what they do.
All right. Very good. Simon, did you have any more questions?
I think I've got it nailed now.
All right. Yeah, no, it's good. So yeah, of course, everybody watching, if you've got any questions, please hit them in the comments below. And of course, like, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. Or if you want to see us on Rumble or BitChute, we're there as well. So Perry, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Do you have anything else you wanted to send us away with?
No, that's it. I think we covered everything. You and I may have to talk about Western Canada at some point in time. I might have to head up to Okanagan Valley and check out some relatives that I haven't seen in a while. But
yeah, my grandmother retired with my grandfather in Osuyu in a galaxy long ago.
Wonderful. Well, anyway, lots to talk about. Thank you for having me on. And Simon, great talking to you as well.
Thanks,
hope I didn't confuse too much of this, but we're covering this wide span of device integration. Some companies just specialize on that, but the whole idea is to build the connectivity platform with brands, and that's really the scope of the company.
All right. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.